you very much for joining us. We now move on to our next story, where the US and China prepare for key trade talks in London on June the 9th. Three top US officials, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer will meet their Chinese counterparts to address ongoing trade disputes. This comes after President Trump's call with Chinese President Xi Jinping last week, where both leaders agreed to exchange visits and ordered staff to hold talks. China's Vice Premier He Lifeng will also be in the UK this week, with the first meeting of the China-US Economic and Trade Consultation Mechanism scheduled. The talks aim to build on a 90-day tariff truce struck in Geneva in May, which helped global markets recover from a sharp sell-off. Despite this, deeper issues remain, including disputes over rare earth mineral exports, the status of Taiwan, and economic policies. Both countries face pressure to ease tensions, with the US viewing China as its top geopolitical rival. We're now joined by Srikanth Kondapalli, who's a professor of China Studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University, located in New Delhi. Thank you very much for joining us. What are your thoughts on this 90-day pause on tariffs that has occurred? We have seen violations on both sides, accusations of violations on both sides. Do you think this trade pause will hold up?
We do not know for sure, because the Geneva meeting has decided about reduction from over 145% to 10% tariffs. They also discussed about the Chinese re-exports of rare earth metals to United States, which is one of the major sticking points. And also the Chinese raised the issue of student visas in several universities in the United States. So on all of these, there are differing views, and we do not know whether China is sincere in sticking to the points at the Geneva meeting, as well as the Thursday meeting, the phone call, not the meeting, between President Trump and President Xi Jinping. So these are all in the works, and possibly we need to see how China or the United States will stick to the agreements. During the Trump administration, first administration, there was an agreement in January 2020. The Chinese said they will invest about $250 billion in the United States for the trade surplus they enjoyed with the United States. However, nothing came out of it in 2020. So today we are back again with the discussions, and one of the points that the United States raised was, since China has surplus trade with the United States, they should invest more in the United States market. But this has not happened, and so we are back to square one, and the London meeting would possibly will have discussions about all of these issues, and so it is not very clear on whether the two parties will stick to the points that they raised, both in Geneva and in the phone call between the two presidents, and on June 9th in London meeting.
Professor Kondapalli, both countries are sending heavyweight delegations to these talks. Is there a real appetite for compromise, or are we likely to see hardened positions from both sides?
There is an appetite for a compromise, because both are suffering. The Chinese, according to a Fudan University economics professor's assessment, the tariffs are affecting China's exports globally and also to the United States. And this academic suggested that the Chinese economy will come down to about 2.8% this year from an estimated 5% mentioned by the Premier of the State Council in March this year during the National People's Congress. So there are concerns on the part of the Chinese as well. And United States is also kind of facing problem in terms of the rare earth metals useful for many of its industrial products. And so both want to make a compromise, but there is a stiffening of positions by both sides as well. So we have to see what could be the progress and how they will be able to manage the bilateral trade deficits as well as the other contentious issues in the economic field.
Yes, and finally, Professor Kondapalli, with the global economy still shaky, how closely are other countries watching these talks? Do you think failure here could ripple through global markets once again?
Indeed. For the United States, the largest trading partners are Canada, Mexico, and China. With Canada and Mexico, we have seen some compromise in terms of the immigrants, as well as on the fentanyl issues between those countries. However, with China, we have not seen much of a compromise and a solution for the problems that they are facing. So this will have a huge impact on the global markets as well, because these are also the largest trading partners for several countries. China wants to diversify its trade from the United States to ASEAN countries, Southeast Asian countries, as well as to the global South countries. For example, with Africa, China has been the largest trading partner for the past 15 years. And today they have a $282 billion trade. With the Middle East, China has a trade volume of nearly $400 billion. With ASEAN members, they have a trade of nearly $930 billion. So China wants to diversify as a solution to the tariff-related problems with the United States. However, this is not easy and it is time-consuming. So China is facing problems because of this. And it will have a huge impact on the other global economies, because China is the largest trading partner for over 128 countries. And so this will have a major impact on the rest of the world as well.
Professor Kondapalli, thank you very much for joining us and for your insight. We now move on and move over to the